and get a drink.
We are recording the interview of Cody Poley. This interview is being conducted by Jennifer Seavey from Wright State University's Veteran Voices Project. This interview is being recorded at Wright State University in Dayton, Ohio. It is 2 p.m. on September 30th, 2016. Okay, so when or where were you born?
I was born in Battle Creek, Michigan, 12/07/1987.
Who are your parents and what are their occupations?
My mom is Susie Poley. Last time I knew, she was a PTA.
Okay. Do you have any siblings and did they serve?
I have a brother and 2 sisters. My brother's name is Rob Poley. My 2 sisters are Angie Poley and Tracy Poley. And they did not serve.
Okay. What were you doing before you entered the service?
Before I entered the service, I was a college student at a college called Kellogg. It was a community college. I was going for computer science.
Where were you during 9/11?
9/11, I was in junior high, and I was in a classroom, and it was a history class, and we were learning about how the economy worked and how money was transferred back and forth.
Okay. Do you remember any of the thoughts going through your head when you heard about it?
I remember the whole school going dead silent, and we heard a lot of doors slamming and teachers being told not to tell anybody. And I remember our teacher saying that it was a history event, so obviously he's going to teach and show. And he turned on the TV right there in the classroom, and we all got to see the towers fall. We got to see the second one. And there was a lot of people kind of panicking and freaking out because nobody understood what was really going on. And at the time, there was a lot of panic. People were worried that the students might have family there.
Were you guys sent home early and everything?
No, we still had a normal day. We just continued. And anybody who needed to talk to a counselor was told to see a counselor. If anybody even looks sad, they were sent to the counselor.
Okay. So which branch in the military did you serve?
United States Air Force.
Were you active duty, guard, reserve?
I was active duty.
Okay. Why did you choose the Air Force?
My sister-in-law, who served in the Air Force for about, I think she said 6 years, and while she was serving, she had a really good time, and she told me that it was the best option for me, so I thought about it and decided to do it.
Okay. So what was basic training like for you?
It was 8.5 weeks. The first thing I remember getting off the bus that they picked us up from the airport and being told to go in, and they put us on the scale to check our feet, so if we needed inserts. And I remember them not really talking to us, sending us up with a bagged lunch that was very stale. And I remember them making us sit in this giant room with nothing but chairs and asking anybody if they had done any type of musical instruments, which, as an idiot, I said yes. And they asked me what instrument I played, and I told them which was a tenor saxophone. And they said, well, when was the last time you played? And I'm not going to lie, I fibbed. I said 3 years, and it actually had been 2 weeks. So they didn't know that, but they let me go. They put me at the squadron with Staff Sergeant Cast. The most amazing guy I have ever met. I've never heard vocals go that loud and that strong in a very small room. He actually echoed it 4 or 5 times off the wall just by saying a couple words. And he had us run all against the wall and put our faces up against the lockers and just kept yelling. He was prior Army, so to him this was normal. And I remember him telling us to unlock our lockers with this key that he told us to never take off our neck. And the first time we ever had to do it, it was really, really weird because no one ever understood how you're supposed to get way down the floor and get this key into the hole. And I remember looking around thinking there's got to be an easier way, and I was too afraid to take the key off my neck because I knew they'd come after me. So I got down on my knees and I unlocked it with my head almost touching the ground and opened the thing and just started throwing everything they told us to throw in. And I remember hearing people's heads crash against the lockers because they didn't know what they were going to do. They were trying to get in there and you just hear thud when their head hit it. And it was just kind of priceless moment because everybody was really intensely scared, didn't know what was going on. And then they told us, okay guys, you're going to get a shower and you're going to go to bed. And you just see the line of guys all scared going to the bathroom, and they had already turned on the water, and the water had pooled in an area that nobody knew about. It was the first time in there. And one of the guys slipped and cracked his head right on the floor. And I remember them telling us, oh, you guys are so stupid, you can't even do this. And we're all confused. And we got our showers, got out. I remember being called Rainbow Flight for the longest time because they ended up having to push back our date to get our uniform for like a week because there were so many people coming in at the time. And when we finally got our uniforms, we were all proud and everything. We got our heads shaved down, and them saying, oh, if you have a mole in the back of your head, you better let them know or they're going to take it off. And one guy not listening and losing a good chunk of his skin and bleeding a little bit, had a Band-Aid on the back of his head. He looked ridiculous, but it was pretty funny at the time. I remember the guys all trying to stick together because they were all scared. I mean, we had a horrible, horrible dorm chief. I mean, everybody hated him. Nobody liked him at all because he was just a stick in the mud. He would report you for anything. Oh, this guy's falling asleep in the line trying to get to chow at 4 in the morning, and we're all like, are you serious? We're barely awake. We didn't even sleep more than 3 hours. And I remember doing PT. I remember our shirts coming back with that orange dye on the back, like orangish brown, from the track that they had put down, because it was brand new track. And you could always tell somebody right out of BMT because of that. And it was just so much more fun than I give credit, because at the time it was scary. But when you look back, you think, oh my God, life was so much simpler. You were told what to do, you did it. You went over, you got your shots, you hated them, but you had to get them. I mean, there were great times, great moments. The time I got to knock my dorm chief on his face with those, I forget what those things are called, those sticks with the Q-tips. Bugle sticks. Bugle sticks. Knocked him right on his face. Greatest day of my whole BMT. I mean, it was just awesome. Every moment was different. The monkey bars, which I never thought I could ever do, I actually did. At the time, I came in 185. I was not used to some of this stuff, and I was putting out so much effort. And everybody in BMT always told me that they were thinking if they were behind me, there was something wrong when it first started. And then after a while, it was if they could just keep up with me, there was nothing wrong. So that was a real great thing, especially since before I came in the military, I was weighing almost 300 pounds. And I lost all that weight to join. So it was really nice to hear people say that, because you don't get to hear that when you're a young little brat who doesn't know much, who's basically a geek. So it was really nice. I loved it.
Good. So you mentioned let's go back to the saxophone. What was that all about?
I played the tenor saxophone in high school. I played it constantly. I love music to a degree that probably I shouldn't. I'm a huge person for rock. I love hard rock. So I tend to play it a lot. I also know a lot of jazz. So I actually own a saxophone. It drives my wife nuts. So that's kind of what that is. I mean, when they ask me, hey, you play saxophone, I don't want to be in band flight. I actually want to do something. I came in open general because I didn't care what I did. I just wanted to do something. And I didn't really want to go straight and just play music for the rest of my life. I wanted to do something that would make an impact, rather than be that guy sitting in front of paper and saying, hey, I did this. I don't want to be that guy. I want to be the guy that helps the other guy do that, rather than be the guy writing paperwork every day.
And you mentioned like guys in your flight. Did you have any females?
In BMT?
Mm-hmm.
No, we had a sister flight, which, I mean, we weren't allowed to interact with them at all.
Not at all.
No, we weren't supposed to. Not until we got to, I think, what is that? It's where they take us to, or I forget where it is. It's out in the middle of nowhere. You go there, you have training, and the thing is you do talk to them, but you only talk to them to give out directions or find out where you're supposed to go. We weren't allowed to talk at all. And that ended up getting me in a lot of trouble because when we got back, I was a decent runner for a guy who was big. And it was kind of like, hey, this guy's good, keep up with him. You know, he's got a good speed going. He always passes the PT test that we have. And so the girls would try to stay at my speed. And they'd end up saying, you know, like stuff like, you gotta help me, I gotta pass this test. And I would say, stay at my speed. If I speed up, speed up. If I slow down, I slow down, slow down. You know, but I try to say it really quiet. Those MTIs are like, they have super hearing. Come on, nowhere. What'd you say? It was horrible on that part.
So I know you mentioned one of your instructors was like nobody liked him, but do you have anybody else that you recall that you really have any good memories of? Or
in BMT, I had a lot of guys I ended up going through tech school with later on, and none of them were really close. But the one person who ended up being a very important person in my life was on the female flight. That was my wife. And yeah, so I mean, we both have fond memories of everything that happened. She remembers people saying my last name repeatedly because it's a funny last name, and she remembers her tech sergeant, who was her MTI, screaming up and down the hallway, "It's Roly Poly Oly, he's fat and cute and round," and she remembers that all day because she just didn't understand what was going on. And then in the classroom, when that tech sergeant walked in, he was like ready because he wanted to meet this guy. So he'd be like, "Roly Poly, get out here!" And I'd have to run out there, and he'd be like, "Is your last name really Poley?" And at the time, I didn't have a name tag, so I'd be like, "Yes, sir." And he'd be like, "Go upstairs, get in your locker, get your ID, come back down here and show me." So I ran up there, grabbed my ID, come right back down, hand it to him, and the moment he saw it, he saw Poley, and then he saw the rest of my name, which is ridiculously long. So he was like, "Oh my God, this guy's name is Cody, Allen, Zachary, Drew, Poley. There's so many ways this could be fun." So they ended up calling me every one of those names at least once a day. So you just randomly hear Allen, Cody, Zachary, Drew, and then all of a sudden, Poley, just get in here. After they got tired of saying my name. But it was hilarious. So she and me both had a lot of memories, and that was one memory. There are multiple, but I can't think of them all. She'd probably think of them in like a heartbeat.
okay. So what was your military occupation then?
I came in open general, and they chose my career for me, and they chose security forces. You want to know about the tech school?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Tech school, oh boy. I remember getting on the bus to go to this tech school, and we were all in our blues, and I remember rush, 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 because that's how the security forces instructors were when they came to get you. And they would tell you, "Get your stuff on the bus, now, now, now!" And I threw my stuff on the bus, and I'm in blues, and off comes my name tag. Well, it was funny at the time. I wasn't really thinking. I just remember the name tag falling off, and threw all the stuff in, and I was like, "Oh no!" And I just grab it because it's a cheap name tag. It's the one they give you in BMT. The thing falls apart. Super glue on the back, bam, fix. But it was just horrible because you have the two pins, and then you have this I think it's plastic that holds the metal on it, and all that's there is the plastic with the two pins, and I'm holding the metal plate. I was so mad, and I'm trying to hide it. I was trying to see if there was still a little bit of stickiness to it. I push it on, and nothing. Won't hold. So I end up carrying my name tag all the way back, which when they finally got me in there, they're like, "Alright guys, we're going to look at your name tags," and I'm trying to hold it in place, like, "It's right here. I'm good." And I remember them just going, "What the hell happened to your name tag?" Got caught on my book bag, sir, when I was throwing myself on the bus, and it went flying, and I caught it, but it's no longer stuck. "Well, you better have that fixed." "Yes, sir, I have super glue in my bag. I'll fix that immediately, sir." "Why do you have super glue in your bag?" "For situations like this, because this has happened 3 or 4 times, sir." He goes, "Why didn't you just get a new name tag?" "Sir, wasn't allowed to." And he was like, "Okay, we'll fix it." And we get in there. As soon as we get in this auditorium, beautiful, like, auditorium, like, you're thinking, I'm about to get beat in a place like this. There's plants in the corner, and I'm about to get beat here. Okay. And then they're like, "All right, everybody relax. So, welcome to Security Forces Tech School. All right, you can all relax, no parade rest, no attention, just relax. It's a cool day. All right, guys, we're going to give you your room numbers. We want you to throw your stuff in the room, and we want you to change into ABUs and come back down here." So we go up there, we all change in ABUs. We're back like that. Everybody. Not a single person missing. All sitting in the exact spot where they told us. As soon as they walk in, we stand straight up in attention, because we're scared. And they're all like, "I told you guys to chill. Sit down." So we all sit down. And they're like, "Okay, guys, I'm gonna explain this. This is not BMT. This is tech school, okay? We're not gonna beat you here. We are just here to make sure you have everything you need for training. We are not your instructors." And we're like, "Oh." And everybody's just slamming their face into their hand. Awesome event. And then we go to the training, and the books thick each. Reading these books, and we just want to cry because they're so boring. The first book is nothing but history of the Air Force, and you just want to strangle someone badly. The next book is, "Oh, this is how to be a cop." And we are actually excited about that book. Then it got to the dull part, how to search and siege. And then all we had to do was search this small area, which I think we did a vehicle. And they hid him everywhere. You'd have a rubber orange knife hidden in the above. You just random places you would never look. Because as a person, you would think, why would I look up there? That's where you would put sunglasses, your garage door opener. Now they stick a knife in there, a gun, whatever. And half the time I'd bash my head on it because they would have a small car, so I'd bend over and hit my head on it, like, what the heck, and grab it. One of their favorite places to put it also was literally underneath the dashboard, like right there. And you just like, are you kidding me? Like, really? Here you go, sir. Then we got to do handcuffing, which anybody who's done handcuffing, then you got to search them. Not exactly your favorite moment. A lot of guys are about to cringe about what I'm about to say. Left, right, center, hold. Hold. Yeah, you remember that part. Everybody knows what that means. It's not very comfortable, and they make you do it on the, another guy if you're a guy and a girl if you're a girl. I got the instructor. He practiced on me first, and then I got to practice on him. Let's just say I've never gotten so high pitched in my entire life. That was pretty bad. Horrible. And then we finally got to do combat training, which I loved. I'm a big fan of, getting out there doing things, and I remember running up that hill like no tomorrow, because we're out in the middle of nowhere in Texas, and we're just running up a hill. I think they were doing that to just kind of burn us out, and honestly, I was one of the first people up the hill, and I remember people going, how can a guy like that get up a hill like that? Because it wasn't, how do you say this? It was like a steep cliff hill, not a meh. It was meow. And I just ran right up that because I was like, oh, their Humvees are up there, ha ha ha, right up there. I get to the Humvees, and they were making us all sit there at the top to wait for the other guys who were still trying to figure out which part to jump on because the sand is coming down. And they're like, yeah, you guys all sit here. We're going to wait until they get here, but we'll tell you what to do. Once they all get up there, they're like yelling at the guys who took forever, how hard is it to climb a hill? And it was priceless because a lot of the people I knew were having problems getting up the hill. And I think at the time, I wasn't even allowed to talk to my girlfriend at the time because they were like, oh, we don't want you in the same area. Because they knew we were dating. It was obvious. They were like, oh no, you're over here. She's over here. This is her team. This is your team. Stay away from that team. Okay. You get up there, and I remember people complaining about it, telling my wife how they'd never seen a quote-unquote fat guy move that fast. Because I was 185, but to them I was still kind of big, and I will admit I was still kind of big, but believe it or not, I never had anybody say you're not moving fast enough, and I never ever heard you cannot do that because you're overweight. I never even heard anybody say I was fat. Not even the instructors. Actually, they kept me because they thought I would be that guy, and they were waiting for it. They even said that. And at the end, they told me, like, we were waiting for you to break. We were waiting for you to fall or just not have the physical strength to do something. We were ready to get you. But you didn't, and we hate you for that. So get out of here. The hill was fun. Getting up there, getting in the Humvees. I mean, we drove on this dirt patch with cliffside dirt all over. The other team was the team we were supposed to be attacking. And, I mean, it wasn't like we were shooting bullets. It was just bang, 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 no, nothing coming out. And it was just practice. It was supposed to be like, we go down here, contact left, contact right, contact front, contact back, just to understand the basics of it, so that when we actually were in those situations, we would know what to do. And I remember thinking, I'm about to get in a Humvee, and they didn't put the fat guy in the turret. Okay, where am I sitting? Well, you're not driving, you're underage. By the way, 22, just saying, at the time. And they were like, oh, we'll have you sit right next to the driver. I was like, okay, cool. Sat next to the driver, got my nice little rubber gun, and I'm like, ha ha, can't move, full gear. Don't like Humvee. Not as cool as I thought it was going to be. Thought I was going to be able to move, at least, open, something, stick my gun out. Not like the movies. Not like the movies. It was an up-armored Humvee, no cloth. It was all armored. Like, I think they were just doing it so you would understand, because that's how it is when you actually get out there. And the whole time thinking, just, window please? Anything? Let me stick it out. I can't. What am I supposed to do? Contact left? Okay. Driver, move. No, not happening. I mean, there was, like, no room. And I remember when they told us if there was a contact left, everybody got out of the right side. And we use the vehicle as our barrier. And I was like, okay, cool. Contact left. Hop out of the car. Hey, the driver's coming right at me. Okay, grab the driver, pull him out. Then do it. It was awesome. It was a lot of fun. I mean, nobody has a complaint about tech school unless you just didn't enjoy the career field. And for that one, it was a lot more than I thought it was going to be. I thought security forces, I'm going to be a glorified gate guard. Because that's what it is. That's what people think. And it's not. You're a gate guard, but at the same time you're not, because sometimes you're on the gate, sometimes you're on the patrol. Sometimes you're deployed and you're not on patrol and you're not at the gate, you're doing convoys. There's many, many, many things that security forces do. It's more than a small package. It's a huge package. I mean, they have people go on planes all the time for security. I mean, it's kind of cool to find out that security forces is not this little itty department like some of the other ones who all they do is paperwork or all they do is sit there and, check on people. It's something completely different than what I thought, and I loved every minute of it.
That's great. Now, you said you met your wife in tech school. How did that come about? Especially if you weren't really allowed to fraternize.
Well, in BMT we were. Tech school was when I really got to know her. What happened was we got told that, we had to start working out because some people were getting a little big, and I was still at the same weight. Actually, I lost 5 pounds. And they were telling us all we needed to start going to the gym and working out because their job isn't to force us to do PT, it's to teach us. So they did have PT once, and it was like 3 times a week, which was Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. But it wasn't enough. That's how they were trying to say. You need to do more on your own. And after they said that, in that beautiful room with the nice flower decorations and stuff, I walk outside and I'm heading back to the dorms because I was actually planning to head over to the gym that we have. And sure enough, I know where I hear Poley, and I'm like, huh? Female voice. Who was that? I don't know anybody who knows my last name that's a female in the military, so what? And it was her. It was her and with this guy named Tucker. Won't go into that guy, but let's just say he was an oddball. I remember one moment where he was wearing nothing but Mountain Dew. A t-shirt, pants, shoes, a hat, all of it had Mountain Dew. This guy was like the definition of, who the hell are you? What the heck is this? Like, I mean, you weren't expecting this guy to be like that. You were expecting this guy to be like a mouse. Quiet, not really talkative, absolutely the opposite. Didn't know how to keep his mouth shut at all. And he annoyed everyone. But I was always pretty nice to him because I'm not an evil guy. I mean, he had a decent aspect of life. And he thought that this was going to be a great job and a great opportunity. And so I gave him that credit. It's like, all right, man, at least you're not shooting somebody or, doing something crazy. You're just wearing all Mountain Dew, but whatever. He was standing there with her. He wanted to go with her to work out. He was basically trying to pick her up. And the first name she could think of was mine. She called me over. And I was like, okay, what's up? And they're all like, hey, you want to go run with us? I was like, actually, I was going to go hit the gym. No, you're not. You're coming with us. Okay, don't argue with a woman. Roger that. I'm going to go change. So I changed. I came back. Tucker changed too. He had a couple rooms over from me. We come back out. We meet her. She's like, oh, let's go run at the track. I'm like, okay, cool. So we get on the track and we're all trying to run at the same speed, but I'm kind of a fast runner when it comes to moving. I don't like to stay slow. I want to keep moving. And I've always been trying to push myself faster back then. And I was running, trying to have a good old time. They're behind us talking about who likes who in our group. And I was really kind of confused by that, because I, at the time, wasn't really thinking about that. I honestly was like, well, I mean, they're all nice women. Some of them I wouldn't touch with a 10-foot pole in that respect, but they're all nice. I mean, they're just not my type. And she was like, well, who do you like? If you could date one, who would you date? And I'm like, I ain't saying nothing. Nope, I'm not getting in this one. And she goes, I know who you date. And she starts naming off names, which I can't remember any of them anymore because I really didn't get to know them very well. And she's naming them off. Like, nope, wouldn't touch that one. Nope, wouldn't touch that one. Nope, wouldn't touch that one. Are you kidding me? I wouldn't touch that one because that girl is obviously, as soon as she gets to her base, is going to be smoking marijuana. She even said it. Like, no, just keep running. And finally she's like, so you like me, huh? I'm like, I didn't say you. Well, what are you talking about? And she goes, well, if it's not these girls, then it's got to be me. I'm like, okay, sure, whatever. Walk away. And then eventually, about maybe 2-3 weeks later, I finally tried to ask her out, and she told me no. About 3 or 4 times, she told me no. And finally, I did the most evil thing you could possibly do to a woman. I told her, basically, let's be friends. I said, it's obvious you don't like me, and it's obvious that, you want us to be friends, so let's just be friends. And she lost her mind and temper and yelled at me and told me that I do not get to decide what she wants to do with her life or who she likes. And I was like, so wait a minute, are you telling me you want to date me, or are you telling me that I just can't do what I'm doing? What are you trying to tell me? She goes, well, I guess I'm asking you out. And I'm like, okay, and we started dating. I mean, it was weird. We had a lot of the same interests, which I didn't even realize until we actually started dating. I remember sneaking off because I thought that this was basically like, I don't want anybody to know I'm going to the BX to buy video games and maybe look at the movies. And I came back and I ended up finding a TV series, actually. It was anime. But yeah, make fun of me later for it. But I like anime. So I came back, and my wife caught me, which at the time, we were dating, and she caught me with it in the bag. And she's like, what'd you get? What'd you get? I'm like, oh, nothing, just, some stuff. Nothing really. She grabs the bag of my hand and goes, anime, ooh, I haven't watched this one before. Just fun events like that we had all the time. I learned more about her, she learned more about me. There were moments where I didn't even know that she liked something, but she did. Like, I liked this book, she loved it. So we kind of just grew more attached, because every time I found something I liked, she ended up either liking it, or it was okay, but she wouldn't mind watching it or reading it or whatever, because we enjoy talking about those subjects. So that's kind of how it's been. And eventually I asked her to marry me. And when I did, I think by far that was the dumbest place to be doing it, in the BX. On my knee, not really the greatest moment of my life. Let's just say that. Could have done that somewhere else. And I remember people applauding and hey! And I remember her face turning bright red, my face looking like a giant cherry because I was just so nervous, and I don't believe I've ever been so shaky in my entire life.
That's adorable. So, how do you think you adapted to military life?
At first, it was amazing. I never really had a problem. Things changed later on when we went to Iraq. I could not get used to flying in a plane, coming in for the landing. That was one of the biggest moments. Come in, you're going to Iraq, all of a sudden we're like, alright, we're doing a combat landing. And whoop! I have never seen myself fly, let alone float. And that's probably the first time I've ever seen myself float across a room with a seatbelt on. Because the seatbelts they had were not very attached, because I was floating and the seatbelt was coming with me. I remember as soon as it came down, I just was like, oh God. I felt my stomach go right up into my mouth, and I was just like, oh God, I'm gonna puke. I definitely am. And I didn't, which was surprising. And crashed right into the seat. The mass sergeant that was next to me crashed into his seat and goes, man, they took their sweet time coming down, didn't they? I'm like, that was a long time? Oh man. Oh, glad they took their time. Glad. Just thank you. As soon as we get off the plane, which was funny because your feet are up in your face, so you're trying to hop out. Finally get out of the plane, and I'm grabbing, all the stuff they told us to carry, our bags, and grab it, and I got my everything on. I'm just running out there, and they're like, go. Running. Get in, and they're like, okay guys, now everybody sit down. We're going to tell you about Iraq and what you can and cannot do while you're here. Okay? So I want you to sit here. At the moment, my adrenaline's kicking in, so I'm not really in the moment for, hey, let's talk about what you can and cannot do in Iraq. But okay, whatever. I mean, it was kind of a stressful moment. I mean, I didn't react very well. It was kind of like, just kill me now. Just kill me now. The mortars at night, and during the day sometimes, but mostly at night, that never could get used to that. It took me maybe 2 or 3 months into it to finally not wake up whenever I heard a siren or a mortar go off. I think one of the moments were inside a truck where we're just patrolling, and the sand whips up, and it's doing a little spin, doing this little sandstorm on its own, and I just see this nice little tornado go right over the car, behind the car, and come back up. And I'm just like, please don't get any bigger. Please don't get any bigger. I do not want to float. I do not want to move. Leave me alone. Just go away. I remember a rock hitting the windshield, and we're like, don't pick up any bigger rocks. There was a lot of stress, but it was a lot of good stress. It was stressful moments where you think, oh God, that kid's going to jump over the sea-wire and do something stupid. Or this guy's walking around with an AK. What is he doing? There was a lot of those stressful moments, but at the same time it was like, I wonder what's going to happen today. Like, what next? It's going to be interesting. Am I going to get the Army with their Black Hawk flying over the top of my nice little itty-bitty box, hovering and making it sound like a really, really bad stereo system going off in my ear at full volume? or what is it going to be today? So it was always fun, but stress was fun.
So, okay, you were over in Iraq. Where else have you served?
I served at Wright Pat Air Force Base. That's where I stayed. I was there for a most of my career, until they sent me to Iraq. How do you explain Wright Pat? It is literally called the place of no return because you're not leaving. You're not going anywhere. It's the end of your career. You're coming there to finish your career. That's what they always told you. You come here, you're not going anywhere unless it's deployment, but you're coming back. So get used to Ohio. The people love everybody. Okay.
So when you were in Iraq and you explained a little bit about your duties, but what all else was involved in that?
Well, when I first got there, I was on the flight, and which means I was on a gate, I was on patrol, I was running around in a Humvee. There was a lot of moments. One of them I remember, I was just patrolling, having a good time in the Humvee as we were making sure no one came at the fence, and we got a call from one of the gates saying that about maybe 150 feet away there was some kids stealing sea wire. And I ran over there with everybody. We got a permission from the commander. I think this is the only time we got permission to grab these kids. He was tired of it. I think he just couldn't take it anymore because every time you turn around, those kids were stealing sea wire. And I remember him saying, "Open up the gate, get them." And I don't think I've ever moved so fast. I threw my M4 on my back and charged these kids. Because, I mean, they didn't have anything but pliers in their hands. And I know that they said, "Grab them." And wasn't really a need to do anything else. As soon as that fence came open, I just knocked them right on the ground, grabbed them, handcuffed them, and brought them back. I think that was an interesting moment for my job because usually I had been inside the fence. We had gone outside multiple times to check the perimeter, check to make sure everything was connected, check the sensors because we had to go around and make sure all the sensors were working. But most of the time, I mean, it was a chill, relaxed setting to an effect. But that was that job. I mean, you had the gates where you would sit on the gate and check IDs, and you have to get a box lunch or ask someone to get you some food. Sometimes MREs because they'd forget about you, which happened a lot. I don't know how you forget about somebody, but flight chief wasn't too happy when you found out that one of the MREs was gone because they forgot to get that guy chow. But, I mean, that's how it was. Also, while I was there, the flight found out that I had been going to school for computer science before I joined. So they ended up putting me in back office for computers for a while. Thank God I finally got out of there. That was an interesting moment, especially when they basically dumped everything on me because this guy had already left. They're like, "Hey, this is all your stuff. You better organize it because the commander wants to check on it later. You have a couple days to do it, but you better hurry." And I just remember going, okay, and I was looking through all this stuff, and I'm like, okay, cool. Do I even have any of this stuff? So I started looking around. I saw all the computers. I started writing them down. Like, hey, I have this computer, I have this computer, I have this computer. And then going, wait a minute, there's about 20, 25 computers that aren't anywhere in this building. And I'm like, where are these computers? And I ended up finding out that those computers were there, just somewhere that no one could get into because the door's locked. And I remember the commander saying, if you can find a way in there, I don't care how you find a way in there, I want those computers out. I want people to have access to those computers. Roger that, sir. It's probably the first time I ever had to use a credit card to open a door when it wasn't my own. And I just open the door, push it open, grab all these computers. And it was amazing because as soon as I walked in there, it was geek moment. Nothing but walls of computers, screens, everything you could think of. And I'm just like, oh no, this is gonna be fun. And the commander coming up behind me and him just seeing my jaw drop, drooling, and just like, heaven. And him just coming in like, all right, boy, wake up, move them. Like, oh, roger that, sir. Just start grabbing computers, taking them everywhere. Okay, the flight's gonna need them here. Oh, these people, are complaining that they need two more computers. All right, that's fine. I'll move them in there. After, making sure I had them on the list, and I'll move these screens here. Oh, this screen is broken. Move that one out. Put the new one in. I mean, it was a lot of fun. And then all of a sudden, it started getting nitty gritty, where it was you're getting in trouble for something you have no control over. And I finally got out of there. I ended up going back to flight, and they treated me with a lot of respect. The flight chiefs did. They were like, okay, right out of tech school, man, you did the best you could. We're not mad at you. So, go do your thing. Be in the military, serve your country, but don't fuck up.
Okay. Did you witness any combat? And if you did, is there anything you'd be willing to share?
I think the only thing I witnessed, besides mortars falling, was when outside of the gate, we had some Army guys running, like hardcore. They were driving so fast, and they were just trying to get back in the gate. That's the only thing I saw for combat, because they were shooting behind them. I wasn't involved at all. I was just on patrol, and then we were told, hey, these guys are coming in hot, back them up if they need be. And the whole time I was just ready to go, ready for something to kick off, but nothing ever did.
Okay. So what kind of friendships and camaraderie did you form while serving? Besides your wife?
Besides my wife. Okay. I had a lot of people that I worked with, and I respected all of them. But I never really had a true friendship. I had brotherhood with them. If they needed me, I had their back. And if they, ever needed anything, it didn't matter to me. I would help them out. But, when I went home to relax. I didn't go out to have beers. I didn't go out with them to do anything. When we were in Iraq, there was a lot of, strong feelings with everybody. Everybody loved everybody. But it wasn't like, hey, keep up with me on email. I mean, a lot of them I'd love to talk to. I'd love to see how they're doing, but it wasn't like that kind of friendship.
Okay. How did you stay in touch with family and friends back home?
I only talked to my brother. That was the only person that really wanted to talk to me at the time. My brother was, how do I say this? He's way older than me. He's in his 40s. Okay, so I would talk to him about it. I would tell him things. I'm like, oh yeah, we did this, we did that. And he would wonder, if everything's okay, and I try to, not tell him things that I wasn't allowed to tell him. I try to say, oh no one's hurt. My, wife's still at home. I'm here. She's supposed to be deploying to Iraq soon. I won't be able to see her, because that's how Air Force was when you first came in, was you can't be in the same shoe as your wife. That's not acceptable. So you guys have to be far apart, and if you get caught, all hell breaks loose. So, I mean, that's kind of how it was. She was on night's flight, and I was on days. And with my brother, I would go to him every night, try to, call him, or at least, let him know, hey, I'm alive. Emails were a big thing. I would go over to USO and write an email, just write an email saying, hey, I'm alive, I just don't feel like talking right now, I'm too tired, I just want to let you know I'm good, gone. And he'd be like, alright, whatever. That's how I kept track of the family.
Okay. And you said your wife was deployed around the same time that you were?
Yeah.
And you guys were in Iraq together, but you couldn't be together?
Yeah. That was Air Force standards at the time. And I was totally cool with it. The reason for it was kind of obvious. They don't want kids in Iraq. I mean, that's not what you're there for. The other reason is because fights, marriage fights, they don't need that there. You're supposed to be fighting the enemy, not the kid, the wife, everything else.
Yeah.
You don't need that. And it was kind of weird. I understood it. At the same time, I didn't like it because they had her a night flight, so whenever I got to see her, it was like, a couple seconds. I would sneak a kiss to her. I'm not gonna lie about it. I would kiss her. She's my wife. I have to. I see her. I'm gonna, hey, I'll walk you back. Walk her back as she's about to go to bed. Give her a kiss. She would go to bed. But that's all that happened. and we'd talk about stuff sometimes. Sometimes she would stay up, a little longer. I would stay up a little longer. We'd talk, and we'd talk about stupid stuff, like what anime we want to see when we get back, or what we're going to do when we're going to get back. What movie they're going to have playing in the theater there. What movie I should go and get at the Iraqi Bazaar for her so she can watch it later. If there was anything she needed me to do, she would do my laundry. I would, try to help her out with other stuff too. Mainly because at the time when she was doing my laundry, I was working back office and I worked 6 on, 1 off, and I didn't actually have the ability to go and do my laundry except for that one day. Yeah. And sometimes I get kind of short on clothes. And I'd be like, I don't really want to rewear these clothes. No, it's not exactly comfortable. So she would wash my clothes sometimes. And I would try to help her out with anything she needed. Because we were straight out of tech school. We were still working on our training. We still had books we had to read. And I remember taking the test over there, which, by the way, was really weird. I've never been in a chew with with these computers and them watching you like a hawk, like, cheat, I dare you. That was weird. And I was just glad I passed.
Sure. So you mentioned you went to the bazaar and everything. Is that stuff that you were able to do when you weren't working?
When, on flight, you worked 6 on, 1 off. And basically what you would do is you'd work those 6 days, you have the 1 day off. And what you would do on your 1 day off is get ready for the next, 6 days. You didn't have time to do anything else. So what you would do was you get clothes, whatever, and the Iraqi Bazaar wasn't too far from the BX. So you have the BX, which is not too far. You go there, you get your clothes and stuff, and the Iraqi Bazaar is a little different. It's not what you would get at a BX. It's what you would want to get from a BX. Like, movies we're not supposed to have because they're not exactly legal. Like, they're still in theaters. And you would go over there and you'd pay like $2. Or if you're evil, you give them a Rip It, because those Iraqis love the Rip Its. You hand them a Rip It and they're like, what can I help you with, sir? You get 10 movies for a Rip It. I mean, it was wonderful. They were always nice. Never a big deal. They just wanted the drink. They didn't care about the can. They would even give you the can back. They just wanted what was in it. Yeah. And it was awesome because you just go in there, you get your movies, get out. No complaints. You get a whole series of the TV show you always wanted to see. Or a movie that, you might want to see. You watch it. Let's be honest. Some of the movies were kind of horrible because you could tell that it was a guy with a camera going, hey. And or you hear someone giggling in the background, you just want to like, hey, shut up! I'm trying to hear the movie.
So, was this on base or did you go off base?
This was on base.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was directly behind a pizza parlor.
Okay. And for those who don't know what Rip Its are, you want to explain?
Rip Its are energy drinks, and they're about that big. You can actually get them here in Ohio. At Myers, but they're a lot bigger. It's an energy drink. At the time, it's like gold for them. To us, it's like, hey, let's stay awake. But I mean, that's what those are. And we didn't have very many flavors. We had like grape and I think one was citrus, and they weren't really like wonderful. But at the time, they're wonderful when you're trying to stay awake. And to them, gold. Can't complain. I will take the movies. You can have the drink. Just give me the can back. I don't want you to take an aluminum can. I don't know what you're going to do with it.
Yeah.
So just give me the can back. That's pretty much what Rip Its are.
Okay. So, what were your feelings while leaving your duty station, like your main one?
Feelings leaving it? Like
or
getting
both.
out?
Iraq and coming to Right Pat, correct?
Yeah.
And then like just being done.
My feelings when first getting to Right Pat were kind of confusing. It was a new location. I was 22. I didn't exactly know what to expect. I was expecting I'm going to be on a gate a lot because I'm a new airman. I knew that. I wasn't complaining about it. I was ready to go. I was kind of worried because the word Ohio was involved and I'm a Michigander. And you bringing me to Ohio, really? Out of all the places, on my dream sheet, I put Texas, Florida, Texas. Why did you bring me here? I mean, Ohio? I remember leaving for Iraq, excited and worried, but I was trying to hide it. I was more excited than I was worried, but I didn't want my wife to think that I was scared. So I tried to, play it off as like, oh, it's just 6 months. It's cool. And when I got there, it was amazing, so I didn't really complain while I was there. Coming back, I was not too excited because I knew that I had the hat line, and really bright place coming to Ohio. Yeah, it was December 23rd that I landed. Or no, it was Christmas Eve. It was Christmas Eve when I got back. And I remember being mad as heck because every store was closed. It was horrible. And all I had was ramen. Getting out, I remember that. It was a very depressing time getting out. Mainly because I had just gone through 2 surgeries. I was pretty messed up. Didn't have the greatest command section. They didn't really like me because there were so many people. And I understood. There were so many people claiming I'm broken, I'm hurt, and none of them were true. At least, the ones that were lying. And it was obvious. I can't do, my PT test. I got it. I'm something's wrong. But yet, you get that doctor's note. I don't believe you. And then you got me, who, as soon as I got back from Iraq, I'm not doing so good. I'm running, but I keep falling on my face. And so I go and see a doctor, and it takes them months to figure out what's wrong with me. So it was bad timing, because once they figured out what was wrong with me, they were like, oh, well, all these people are claiming that they're broken. And then this guy. I wasn't in a good footing with them, because it just looked like I was trying to play it off. Mm-hmm. So it was kind of bad, but it was kind of good because I knew as soon as I got out, I was free from it. And I could do whatever I wanted. I could say whatever I wanted. I could call them every name in the book, and there was nothing they could do. So I remember getting out. I remember signing that paperwork. I remember them handing me, my orders. And I just took off like a bat out of hell off that gate. And then I turned around and went and picked up my wife. Because I knew I had to drive off base first, so. Oh, you're not out until you drive off base. Okay, meow. So, it worked.
So when you came back from Iraq, how were you received by your family and the community?
I remember getting off the plane, and we just landed in Washington. And there was these people waiting for us. Didn't know who they were at all. None of them. And they were nobody's family. They were just waiting for us. And they had signs and, well, thank you for your service, welcome back. They were giving out little bags of candy and stuff, cool stuff. And they all gave us hugs. It was kind of creepy, a little. But I mean, it was really nice. It made you feel like, hey, we actually did something, and they're actually glad to see us back. And when I finally landed, my wife was still deployed. I remember nobody really being there. The command section was on Christmas, let's be honest here. But supply was there, and they were like, welcome back, get your stuff in the vehicle. Get our stuff in the vehicle, we got back. I mean, it was kind of bad timing. I mean, if I had come back in the summer, I bet they all would have been there.
Okay. How have you readjusted to civilian life?
Civilian life? It was hard at first. For a year, it was bad. It took a long time, especially with the RTC students. Can't seem to put a uniform on properly. It was bad. The first year, I was still using a cane. It took me a while to get back on my feet. When I finally did, it was amazing achievement for me. And I came here, and I saw some people that I'd served with. And that was amazing, because I knew I could actually openly talk to these guys. And people I hadn't been friends with when I was in the military, I ended up becoming friends with. And it was really nice, because I had tried to keep that from happening when I was in, because I was afraid that if I made a friend and then they died, I wouldn't be able to handle it. So I did have a lot of people that I ended up knowing pretty well. Things happened to them. Maybe they left to a different, base. I heard from rumors and from other people that a couple of them had died. Nothing from combat, but they had died. And it was kind of upsetting for that. So it was really nice when I got back here as a civilian, coming to a place that at the time did not have VMC we have now. We just had a little room. And I came here and I was like, oh, I'll just go there to fill out my paperwork. Didn't really connect with anybody until my first classes. I got to see a lot of old faces and a lot of new faces. I made a lot of friends. So it changed. It went from, hey, I gotta be a stick in the mud because I'm afraid of losing, anybody I care about, because I don't want to be that sap. I want to be Mr. Strong and I can handle this, to, hey, what's up?
Yep. So are you a member of any veteran organizations?
I'm not.
Do you have any reasons why?
The Veteran League here, I honestly haven't really had the greatest standing with them. Well, at least one person in it. But I am friends with a lot of people in the Veteran League, and I've brought up some concepts with them. I've come in there and talked. The VMC, I don't work for them. I like them. They're really nice people. I know a lot of people in Veteran Voices, so I mean they're all nice. I like them all. Just not part of any group.
Good. So what all have you been doing since separating from the military? Like work-wise, school?
Well, since I got out, I started school. I started going to Wright State University. Started learning how to be a computer engineer because I changed my major. Been doing a lot of programming, a lot of interesting things that I never thought I'd ever do in this section of my life. Also been kind of become the home dad, because I don't have any kids, but I got a wife and she's pretty much a kid. So, she'll leave me with a lot of chores. During the summer, it seems like she just drops off the face of the earth and everything else is scattered everywhere. Like, hey, where'd you go? You just left me with a big giant box of laundry. You're evil. Okay, I'll do this. I've kind of started helping out veterans. Not anything official, but any veteran that comes over to me, I help them with their computer problems to the best of my ability. If I can't help them, I usually give them people who can. That's pretty much all I've been doing. I mean, I've put a lot of effort in just trying to pass classes and a lot of effort of trying to keep the relationships I've gained.
Okay. So how did your wartime experiences affect your life?
Well, I will never feel the same way about going to another country, especially Iraq. If I ever go back, which I hope I don't, it honestly kind of like it was a shell shock a little bit, because the mortars constantly. I never had hatred in my entire life. I never really hated somebody so bad that I just wanted to kill them, and I still don't. But it made me fearful, because every person that got near the wire, I was always ready. I didn't want to, but I knew I had to. If they were going to do something stupid, I'd rather save everybody else on the base and die than let this person kill everybody on the base. And when I got back, that was hard. Civilians around the base were kind of iffy about us. The military being here, they loved us because we brought money to the community. They didn't really like us because all of a sudden, we're pulling them over for tickets outside the fence line. Like, hey, you're supposed to be a base cop. What are you doing out here giving me a ticket? They didn't really like us for that. When I came here, finally out of the military, I had some problems. My way of dealing with problems is laughing. It's not a really good idea. I didn't realize that this school was so diverse. There's different cultures going on here. A lot of people are coming from other countries to learn here. It was kind of scary because some of them kind of made me have flashback moments of, hey, I need to watch myself. And to this day, I still look around all over the place, and it's not on purpose. It's because I kind of have that training of looking all over the place, making sure that that person doesn't have a gun, that person doesn't have a knife, and they're not trying to do something stupid. And it kind of gets me in trouble. Classes, teachers call on me. I end up knowing the topic, but they'll call on me because they think I'm not paying attention. But it's because I'm watching everybody else in the room, because I'm afraid that guy is going to do something stupid. That woman is going to do something stupid. The little kid in front of me, who's probably like 10 years younger than me, is going to do something stupid. So it's kind of made my life more difficult, but I've gotten used to it. I don't even think about it. I just know I'm doing it, and I don't even say anything.
Yeah. So how has the military service impacted your feelings about war and the military in general?
War is a horrible thing. I don't like the idea of people dying. But the military taught me that sometimes things cannot always be solved with words. And you have to solve them with the best way that is available. The military, we don't have control. We are told what to do. That's what happens when you sign that dotted line. You're saying, I'm serving my country. I'm going to do what they tell me to do. You're property. You're not a mind. And anybody who thinks otherwise, you're wrong. You're there to do a job. When the commander or your superior, your master sergeant, whoever it may be, tells you, get down, do this, you do it. There's no questions. I see the military as a different entity than when I was outside of it. I saw it as a civilian, I saw it as they're here to protect us, and they're glorious, they're warriors, they save us all. I didn't see the messed up side of it. And now I see the messed up side of it, and I also see the pain and the anguish that a lot of veterans go through, because they went through a lot when they were in. They came out now. And now they're hurt, and we don't give them credit. They did a lot for us. And their stories are more important than Joe Smo off the street who just won $1 million. But you don't see the news putting up, hey, this military member's on the street. So that's how I feel about war. It's like we forget about the individuals, and we only care about the political view. But at the same time, war is war. I can't control it. You can't control it. But we can put our voices to it, against it or for it.
So what are some life lessons you've learned from being in the military?
Duck and cover. When Master Sergeant says drop, drop. If anybody says drop, drop. Because it's probably not going to be good. That's one life lesson I learned. Let's see, another life lesson. Don't take anything like a grain of salt. Because that's what they tell you. Take bad words as a grain of salt. Believe it or not, don't. Don't get angry. Alright, karma will get you. Who cares? We all know karma will get you. I mean, every time you've done something wrong, it's going to come back to haunt you. That was one life lesson I learned. Keep your mouth shut, do the right thing, and do what you're told. But don't do something that you know is unlawful. That was another. I also learned that friends are what you make them, not what you want them to be. I learned that really quickly because I always thought I can make friends whoever I want to make friends. And that didn't really work out the way I thought it was because I ended up pushing everybody away because I didn't want to worry about it. I also learned that the career field you choose for your life, whatever it may be, military, nurse, whatever it may be, you can either choose to make an impact and make a difference for the next person that walks through your door, whether it be helping them with finances, putting a Band-Aid on their knee, whatever it may be. You can make a difference in their life. So when they come in, have a smile, give them, something to laugh about. It doesn't have to be something crazy. It could be something stupid. It could be the most lamest joke in the world. But give them something to laugh about, because then when they walk away, they're going to go smiling. They're going to go laughing. And then that next person, they're going to get that. And that's awesome, because you make a difference. And I wish I could see people do that more instead of complain because something didn't go their way. They didn't get the grade they wanted. They didn't get the job they wanted. Whatever it may be. That was something I learned. I also learned that politics, big part of the military. So if this is what the career is going to be like in the real world, which I kind of do know that. I did have a couple jobs before I joined the military. It's very political in some jobs. If I have to deal with that, I've learned that just roll with the punches. Just, okay, all right, here's all the paperwork, gotcha, let's just do this. No big deal. I also learned that anger solves nothing unless you use it appropriately. That was one big one.
Okay. So what message would you like to leave for future generations who will watch this interview?
Your veteran is not some homeless guy on the street, though there are a lot of them. They're people that have served you. And not just you, your family. Sometimes not even your mom. Maybe they were in when your grandpa was. They're your friends. They're people you should be giving help where you can, at the same time giving them the respect they deserve. And I think all the veterans out there, I respect you, and good job.
Is there anything else you'd like to add?
Nope.
Nope. Okay, well that concludes our interview, and thank you for your service.
Thank you.